time for Cigar Talk, the fastest growing cigar show in the nation. Whether you're a new cigar enthusiast or a cigar aficionado, we have something for everyone, bringing you the best interviews, cigar reviews, and weekly giveaways. So grab yourself a cigar.
It's time to light 'em up.
Hey guys, welcome back to Cigar Talk. I'm your host, Rob Jones. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We got Bryant Falconer, the co-host in the studio with us today. How you doing today, Bryant?
Hey man, I'm doing good.
What are you smoking over there?
Hey, today I'm smoking on a Kentucky Fried Cured Flying Pig.
You know, I smoke quite a few of those.
Yes.
And when I really like to smoke one of those is when I've already smoked about 4 cigars.
Oh my God.
And my palate starts getting a little dull.
Yeah.
Fire one of those up and bam.
Yeah, because that's what it did to me. And I asked you, I was like, what is that, maple?
You're right.
He's like, no, it's smoked oak. I'm like, yes. You could taste that woodsy part of it. And then the peppery started hitting. I was like, hey, I like this.
It's
right?
like sitting in front of a campfire.
Oh yes, that's the exact scent that I got out of it. And that's why I said, what is this, maple?
Right. And I'm smoking a Padron. I believe it's called a Damash.
Okay.
It's the Connecticut, and this was a gift from Matthew at the Paladin Cigar Lounge. I stopped by there and saw those guys this last weekend. And if you've never been to the Paladin and you're in the Fort Worth area, you got to swing by there. A couple of brothers run a great shop over there. They've got a good supply, diversified collection of cigars, and it's just a real comfortable lounge. They got really nice, laid back chairs.
That's
you
what
can
you
sit
look
and
for.
just hang.
That's what you
In
look
fact,
for.
usually I hang out and talk the whole time. This time I went in, chit-chat a little bit, and then I just went back and enjoyed a cigar.
That's good.
I mean, I was burnt out. It was a long day.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it was really nice to go hang out over there and then get to see those guys as always. I think we can't do the show without talking about El Paso and Dayton.
Yes, sir.
Just want to say our hearts and prayers go out to the families and the
100%.
survivors of those ordeals. And, something that has really just taken me back is, all the people that's on Facebook. What really saddens my heart is that I see so much divide from the aftermath of this. And it's not just this. I mean, going back months and months, I see a really, strong divide between Americans and, even with some cigar brothers and sisters. And so I just want to say that, regardless of your thoughts politically, I think the majority is kind, loving people.
Okay.
I think you have the extremists on both sides.
Most definitely.
And those extremists do not define us.
No, they don't.
The majority, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that they get the most attention because they are so radical.
Yeah, they're the loudest speakers in the room. And
Right.
that's what it is. They're not giving any thought or anything productive to the conversation, but they're talking the loudest.
Right.
What I ask for is, let us remember back to 9/11, how the country came together in that disaster.
Exactly.
And treat it the same way, because in the end, it's an attack on us.
Right.
It's not an attack on you, them, or others. It's us. And the us are the people that come together and understand that America is about everybody. When you think about it as that, because it could have been your relative. It could have been
Absolutely.
your daughter, your son, your mother, your wife that was in either one of those locations. I mean, a Walmart.
Well, listen to this. I read an article earlier today, and a young man had planned on doing a mass shooting in Lubbock.
And his grandmother.
Yes.
Yes. Now, what type of integrity is that?
Oh, man.
To look past, yes, this is my flesh and blood, of my flesh and blood, but you are doing something that is against everything that I taught you. So now you got to deal with that.
Right. And dude, I'm from Lubbock.
Yeah.
My brothers and their families live in
Yes,
Lubbock. And that really
yes.
hits home to say, wow, man, this could happen anywhere. And I think it's just important to not let these things divide us. And we stay together.
Truth.
Because, when you start name calling and blaming and all that does is divide.
Yes, and it tears
we
down.
we are weaker when we are not unified.
That's correct. That's correct.
So anyway, I just want to say our thoughts and prayers go out to those in El Paso and Dayton.
100%. Right.
And, if you're not there or know the situation, I know it doesn't affect you as much because we've become so sterile to those type of things, unfortunately. But
Me coming from as an ex-police officer, You can be sterile in the action, but I promise you, and I know it because I've been in not that type of situation, but stressful situations akin to that. Once it's done, you're hit with all those emotions.
Yeah.
You're hit with them, and you realize where you were, what was just going on, and the loss of life.
Right.
You know, you have to be a robot not to understand and not to be affected by it.
Yeah, and you know, I can't wrap my mind around someone who has no regard for life, that puts so little value on humans, regardless of, you know, your political affiliation or your race or, you know, anything that makes us different. And the thing about it is, we are all different.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take two white guys
And there's
that
still a difference.
grew up in the same neighborhood that's completely different. And the same thing going back to like East St. Louis.
Hey.
You ran around with people that were so different from you.
You could take two people from the same family,
Oh,
two
yeah,
brothers,
right. Yeah,
and
you
see the difference.
absolutely. I mean, I got two brothers, and we're all three the
Difference.
same
In some
and
respects,
different.
yes,
You know what I
correct.
mean?
Correct.
And I mean,
Correct.
opposite ends of the spectrum.
You look at me and my brother. We didn't know each other until we were 37 years old, but our lives mirrored each other so much that it was just uncanny. I went to school football scholarship. He went to school on a basketball scholarship. We both went into the Army not knowing each other. Then we both became police officers. Him in Chicago, me in East St. Louis. That was just so uncanny when we got together and we started talking, like how we were so much alike, but then so different.
Right.
So different.
So anyway, man, we just want to say that our thoughts and prayers go out to all the families and survivors, and we just pray that this country comes together and unify instead of divide.
Yes. I'm 100% with you, brother.
And you know what I think would help if everybody had a cigar.
Oh, especially one of the ones well, I don't know about you, but this Kentucky Fried Cure, yeah.
Hey, I'm actually enjoying this Connecticut.
Hey, you enjoying it, Connecticut?
Yeah, you know, hey man, you know, there's two of my favorite Connecticut's, which is the McAuliffe and then the Galera.
Okay.
I gotta say, this one is
trying to sneak its way in.
But I also have to say, at the $15 price point, it's probably not going to make it into my rotation.
There's very rare occasions.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the two that I mentioned,
yes,
you know,
get both of
those,
them for probably
right. Yes, I could get both of those for the $15. So anyway, and let's talk about our sponsor since I brought up McAuliffe.
Yes, sir.
If you aren't a ambassador yet, you got to go by, check them out. Man, in fact, I had a phone interview with one of our Patreons just earlier, and he will be on next week's show. And he is actually a ambassador, and he also loves the Medallia.
Yes.
And you know how much I've been all over that
sir.
smoke.
Yes, sir.
So, but if you're not an ambassador, go by our website and click on the McAuliffe link. It'll take you by their website. And yeah, it's easy. It's free.
And free.
And they send you a coin and a certificate that they hand sign.
Yes, sir.
Your medallion has your own number.
Low numbers help.
Yeah. Man, and you know what? I saw somebody's number the other day, and I want to say, I'm not 100%. No, it was like 2,000 and something. Whoa. Yeah.
It's growing,
It
man.
has really grown.
I saw somebody on my Instagram. I can't remember exactly who it was, and it was a female, and she had her McAuliffe medallion out there, and her number was like 140 something. You know, I got jealous immediately. I was
So
like,
at
she's
least
lower
somebody
than me.
knows, someone let you know how I feel.
Yes.
But anyway, and you know, the great thing also is they have a great community on Facebook. They're always engaging with the consumers, their ambassadors. And so, I mean, they're not just selling cigars. They're getting our feedback so that they can make our experience better.
It's a buy into the community, baby.
Yeah, it really is.
100%.
So hats off to everything they're doing over there. I want to talk a minute. You didn't get to make the trip because you had some work things come up. But the trip to Richardson and the Renegade Cigar Lounge was fantastic.
I missed it.
Man, you missed out on meeting some really great guys. Right off the top, I got to say shout out to Ryan. He was there. Cranky Buzzard was there. I met a bunch of really great guys. When you walk into that shop, the first thing you see is the doors going into the humidor. And I don't know exactly the measurements, but I want to say it seemed like it was like 18 by 25. It was huge. And I mean, they had cigars just piled up. But it was all nice and neat. There was no cigar boxes on the floor.
Okay, yeah.
They didn't even have a bottom row. You know that row that you can't see
down there, yeah.
In fact, I even commented to the owner that I liked the way his humidor was, because it started at about maybe 2 feet up off the ground, and then up to your normal 6.5, 7 feet, so you could really see the whole selection.
Cool.
And they had a really great diversified selection. I mean, there was a lot of cigars in there that I haven't been able to get. I love the Caldwell line, like the Blindsman's Bluff,
Yes, sir.
and some other lines that they had some, it was the Black Label Trading Company cigars. And anyway, I really focused on the Caldwell cigars there because they had a great lineup of those, and I don't get to find those very often. So, and I didn't know this. Did you know that the Long Live the King from Caldwell, they have one that was in collaboration with AJ Fernandez?
No, I did not know that
I
at
did.
all.
Yeah, that blew me away. So I had to pick up a couple of those.
You did?
Oh yeah, and it was fantastic. No, you're not getting one.
I just you saw the look.
You missed. You didn't. Yeah, you didn't go. Sorry, sorry.
Oh man.
But anyway,
not thinking about your brother.
Oh no, I was thinking about you. I was thinking, where is he?
Yeah.
So
taking care of business, sir.
I understand. So anyway, it was a great trip. Went down there, hung out with the guys, and smoked. And then we walked right across the way to a place called 1050 Barbecue. Dude, let me tell you something they had that I've never had before.
What's that?
They had a jalapeno sliced down the middle with cream cheese in it, but then piled in there was brisket and then bacon wrapped around. Oh man, it was fantastic. And I had a chopped beef barbecue sandwich, and it was really good. The sauce was spicy, just the way I like it. It hit you with a little sweet, hit you with a little spice.
You're making me miss it even more.
Oh, dude, it was nice. And then we went back and smoked more cigars. And then I also got to give a shout out because Big Tony showed up. Okay. You haven't met Big Tony yet. Sir. He is actually a rep for the Espinosa cigar line, and he brought me some cigars, smoked those, and man, I'd never had an Espinosa cigar before. And so, you know how it is when people give you cigars, your expectations are low.
Yeah.
And I got to say, they really surprised me.
Okay.
They were really good.
Okay.
And so I want to give a shout out for Big Tony. He also bought my lunch. Super nice guy. We've been talking online for like 6 months. Okay. And we finally got to meet up. Unfortunately, David Jolly wasn't able to make it. So we were sad that he didn't get to show up because I haven't been able to hang out and smoke with him in quite some time. But overall, man, it was just a fantastic trip. I'm really sorry you weren't able to go.
Hey, I'm glad you had a good time and you represented Cigar Talk to the utmost, bro.
Yeah, and it was just great going there. And also, the Renegade Lounge does some really unique events. Okay. And so I told them that we would try to come up to one of their events in the future.
Okay.
So that would be something you can make a trip back up there with it.
So I can enjoy that.
That's right. So coming up next, we actually have the interview with the owner of the Renegade Cigar Lounge. And we've got Brandon that's going to be telling us about his history and how he got started in the cigar business and what they do at the shop. So you're not going to want to miss that. Without further ado, let's get to the interview. We'll be right back after the break. Hey guys, thanks for hanging through the break with us. We're here in Richardson, Texas at the Renegade Lounge, and we have owner with us today, special guest, Brandon Hayes. How are you doing today, Brandon?
Doing well, thank you.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll tell you what, I've taken a little tour of the shop while I've been here, and it's outstanding, man.
Thank you.
Your humidor blows me away.
Awesome.
And if you guys get the opportunity to come by here, you're going to walk into this huge humidor. What size would you say that is?
I think it's right at 700 square feet.
Wow, and it's packed full. I mean, if you can't find a cigar in there, you don't smoke cigars.
That's exactly right.
So how did you get into the cigar business?
Probably the same way a lot of guys did. I was in the janitorial business for about 9 years prior to getting into the cigar business. And I finished my day just about every afternoon in a cigar lounge. Always kind of had a crush on the business and thought, in the back of my mind, maybe one day, this will be a great retirement plan for me, something that I can do that I'll enjoy coming into work every single day. And, kind of unexpectedly, I had an opportunity to sell my business in 2014, much younger than what I had planned. And so I took that opportunity and I spent a little time thinking what it is that I wanted to do. I was lucky to be able to sell my business. It was always a dream to build it and sell it. But I was 30 years old, and I didn't sell it for enough money where I could just travel the world. And that would have been my first option, or what I would have liked to do the most. And then second was run a cigar shop. So I was afforded the opportunity to do that and do something that I love every single day. It was really the only thing I could think of, given the opportunity to do something that I would enjoy, that made sense. So I bought Renegade in 2014 in its first location, which is just down the street about 3 miles from here.
Oh, okay.
Operated that location for about 5 years. And then 3 weeks ago, I moved to this location. So this is brand new for me, this location.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know what your old location was like, but this one is fantastic. You have great lounge seating for everyone. You have TVs on the wall. You have coffee, which I'm a huge fan of. The humidor is ginormous, and your staff is knowledgeable and friendly. And I think that is just one of the keys to having a great shop.
Yes, I'm very lucky to have guys that work here that love what they do every single day. Scott, my manager, really passionate about this industry, is involved kind of in two ways in the industry. He's a graphic designer for some of the bigger brands on the market right now, does really good work. So he's involved in the kind of the packaging and marketing side, and then he's full-time here. But he loves what he does. And then my part-timers, that was always something that I wanted, was there not to be any gaps in my absence if I'm not here. And I was able to find some really good guys that work full-time jobs that were just passionate about cigars, that wanted to work 1 or 2 days a week. So I really feel comfortable, regardless of what day of week you come into Renegade, that the experience is going to be good regardless of who's here. I just don't, there's not any weak links in my staff right now, and I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, and that's awesome, because I'll tell you, I've been to a couple of shops where the hospitality wasn't there.
Yeah.
And it just kills the whole experience.
Absolutely. There's a lot of places to buy cigars, and I feel like if you're going to go out of your way to go into a brick and mortar, that the experience should be superior to buying them online. And so we spend a lot of time thinking about the customer experience. We talk about that internally on a regular basis. How do we make this an enjoyable process for them? I think a lot of times, people create too much friction for the customer, and we try to take that friction away. Whether you're somebody who comes into the store and you know a lot about cigars, and you really just want somebody to kind of walk you around and help remind you of one of your old favorites that you forgot about, or talk to you about maybe a new release that's coming out and know the release dates and help you pre-order that, something like that. I think my guys can do a good job of that. But what we probably do the best job at is when somebody comes in and they're trying to learn. I feel like that's how we really convert, an opportunity to a long-term customer, is really take the time to sit down with them and educate them on it. All of my guys are willing to do that. It's one of my favorite things to do. But
I think that's one of the most important parts.
I wish we did a better job as an industry of bringing new people in. And I think that, occasionally we get the opportunity. We get somebody who pops in, on a random Saturday or Sunday, wants to kill a couple hours. They've smoked a few cigars in their life, but really don't understand the culture, don't know a lot about it. Maybe they're a little bit shy. They're afraid that they're going to ask the wrong questions. And if we show them a good experience, I think that's good for the entire industry.
Well, I think that's great, because a lot of guys, when they come in, as a new cigar smoker, it's very intimidating.
It can be.
Because there's so much to learn. And without that knowledge, I know whenever I first started, I walked into the shop and I was like in and out.
Yep.
Because I didn't want to be embarrassed that I was an idiot.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that we really try to embrace, is getting not just cigar shop, lounges, employees to engage, but just the community in general.
No, I agree. Compliment that I've received over the years that I really can't take a lot of credit for is how friendly the customers are in my lounge. I've kind of lucked into that on some level. And, when somebody comes in to Renegade, for the most part, they're greeted by either myself or one of my employees. But then they're also greeted by the customers. And, there's always somebody willing to get up and give you a seat or invite you to sit down. I don't have a lot of the guys that are real cigar snobs. I have guys that enjoy really good cigars.
Right.
I have guys that know a lot about really good cigars. I've got guys that have really invested in learning about the process of making cigars, that have traveled with me to Nicaragua or the DR. They're really invested. But anybody on any given day can come and sit down with them, and they're not going to say, "What are you smoking?" And
judge them.
And I just see that day in and day out here, how open my customers are to new customers coming in.
And I know that to be true because I wasn't in your humidor for more than 5 minutes, and I met Neil.
Yep.
And next thing you know, we're having a conversation about, how long he's been coming here. And I mean, just the conversation that I had with Neil showed me how much of a community and relationships you guys build here at the shop.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying. I think we need to build the cigar community. I hate it as a consumer walking in to a shop, and I knew a little bit about cigars. I'd been smoking cigars for a while, but you come in and you got a guy that's a fan of one brand, and if you pick up another brand, you see his look of disgust on his face.
Right.
I think that intimidates people. I think that turns people off. I think when they walk into a lounge, and there's 6 guys that meet every single day, and they got their boys club, and they're not open to welcoming somebody else into the lounge, I think that turns people off.
Oh, I agree.
And I think as an industry, just as a fan of the industry, not necessarily even as a retailer, just as a fan of the industry, I think we all need to do a better job of that. And, I appreciate guys doing what you're doing as well. I think that's just another opportunity where somebody from the comfort of their living room can tune into your podcast and get some of that information so they feel more comfortable. But I think retailers should be doing that as well.
I agree.
And we don't do we've always got room to improve. But that's one thing that I do believe that my staff and my customers do a really good job of.
Well, I've seen it since I've been here, and I've only been here about an hour, and it's prevalent that you guys have that focus.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. One, I like a clean lounge. I'm not OCD. We're not over the top, but you're guaranteed when you come into this lounge that the floors are going to be clean.
Now, I do have to say, you come from the janitorial business.
I do, and oddly enough, and maybe there is some connection there, but really, I just think back as a consumer going into lounges around the country,
or any business,
any business. Yeah, I think you can really tell, a sense of pride in somebody's operation by, how they take care of it. But also just what do you think of your customers? If you can't get here an hour before you open the doors, or stay an hour after you close and clean the bathroom and clean the floor so your customers have a clean environment to come into.
Well, I think that shows that businesses that do that, they take their customers for granted.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about that. They'll come back.
Yeah. And I think
that's wrong.
Yeah, we're at a really bad place to take that stance as an industry as a whole. The government's against us right now. As a brick and mortar retailer, we've got the threat of the internet.
Sure.
And so I think we're under attack from a lot of angles, and we need to be doing everything right. Everything.
Well, I preach on my show every week. People probably get tired of hearing it, but I'm all about cigar rights for America. I'm all about writing letters to your senators.
Yeah.
Let them know. And I'm not a real big-time political guy. Never really have been. But when it comes to the cigar industry, I am, because you can see the impact that they could have on us in a blink of an eye.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm glad there's people like you doing that. I'll have to say, I wish I had done a better job at that. And I still could be doing a better job at that. I sometimes have a hard time balancing. Let me back up a second. It kind of breaks my heart when I sit with a customer and I start talking about regulations, or a conversation came up. Rocky was here yesterday, and somebody was asking him to sponsor a charity event. And I know Rocky absolutely would have done it. But Rocky informed him that he couldn't just donate the cigars to the charity to be given out because of the FDA regulations, and there would be a penalty involved if he got caught doing it. He said he would support the charity in a different way, but he couldn't just show up and hand out cigars. And people were kind of confused by that. They didn't even know that rule existed.
Right.
And I kind of felt bad as a retailer. I should be doing a really good job of educating my customers as to what's going on. And sometimes I do a good job of that, and sometimes I feel like I fail. But I struggle with when somebody comes in, I want this to be a positive experience for them. And sometimes I feel like when I start preaching, FDA and join this and do this. I beat them up a little bit, and I don't want them to be turned off. I want them to be excited about the future of the industry.
Because it is like a negative.
It is, and I just need to find a better way to approach it, where I make it a positive experience and talk about, all the opportunity that the industry has, and not letting them, impede on that.
Right.
But I just sometimes feel like I fall short, and the reason why I think I fall short is when guys come in, I don't want to talk doom and gloom.
Right.
I want to tell them about a new release that I'm excited about. I want to tell them about a trip we're taking to a factory and, all the great things that factory is doing. I want to tell them about a new brand I discovered, or, an upcoming event where I got somebody that they're really going to get excited about coming out, that they're going to get a chance to sit down and meet and talk to and smoke cigars with. So I try to keep a real positive message around here. But that does come with the cost. Sometimes I fail to really to get guys on board. And so I think I should do a little bit better job of that this year. I really should have done a better job of that over the last 4 years. Now, I'm a member of a lot of those organizations personally.
Right.
I donate to some of those organizations. So, I support it in that way, but I need to be more vocal for sure.
Well, we had Glenn Loop on the show a few weeks back and really went over a lot of the different things that are happening on the legality side with the FDA. And, it just, as much as I have a passion for the cigar industry, I just have to be passionate about that part of it.
Yep.
And I know, I usually dedicate, 3 minutes of the show talking about signing up for Cigar Rights of America, write your senators. And I know probably people get tired of hearing it, but if we all do that, then maybe we can start gaining some ground on this whole ridiculousness.
You're 100% correct. That's the only way it's going to happen. We really have to stick together. I think manufacturers need to stick together. I think that the trade organizations need to stick together. I think consumers need to stick together, and retailers need to do a better job.
Well, and that's why I
included.
preach it, because I think that the consumers actually have more power than everyone you just mentioned, the manufacturers, the cigar shops, because the government looks at it as you guys have a vested interest.
Absolutely.
Where
they vote in those communities, they vote in those states, and it's while these organizations have people in place to go down and politic for us, sometimes literally just reaching out and saying, hey, I'm a voter, and I don't stand for this.
Right.
And if you want my vote next year, I want my voice to be heard.
And that's a good way to put it. If you want my vote,
Yeah.
I need you to listen to me and vote the way I'm asking you to vote for me.
Exactly.
I like that.
And when that's done, 10,000 times, 100,000 times, in different communities in different states, I think that that they should listen, and I think that the voices would be heard if it's done consistently enough in large enough volume. But we're a really small industry.
Oh, absolutely.
And I love the industry. Obviously, I'm invested financially in the industry, but I also just love the people of the industry, and I don't want to see these mom and pop operations go away. If you think about it, all the way to the manufacturing side. You go to the Dominican Republic, you go to Honduras, you go to Nicaragua. You see families, generations of families growing tobacco. You see, family organizations running factories. There's a couple of big companies in this industry, but for the most part, it's made up of families. And there's not a lot of industries where they're making products by hand,
right,
and that are owned by families. And I think it's a really romantic thing. And I hate to see that, even on the manufacturing side and the brand side, some of that go away. But then you come to the consumer side, and if they took this away, I try to think what would we do. Barbershops are kind of a thing of the past,
right?
Not everybody wants to go into a bar and sit with guys at a bar and drink,
and that's me. I mean, if I do have a drink, it's with a cigar.
Yeah.
And it's a rarity, but it's a whole different environment.
Yeah, and country clubs. I mean, I guess we've got country clubs. Not everybody's a country club guy. And I think what is really cool about the cigar shop is it brings people of all walks of life together. I know, probably heard this before, but, any given Tuesday, You know, I've got a doctor in here. I've got a lawyer in here. I've got a kid that's home for summer in college. And then I got a guy that's looking for a job, and they all sit around and they smoke cigars, and they're all enjoying themselves.
Absolutely. And this is a community where the guy looking for a job has a good opportunity to come here and somebody know of a job.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you don't find that anywhere else.
These guys stick together, and it really is just a beautiful industry that I hope that ultimately doesn't get destroyed. But I have a kind of a positive outlook on things. I think we're going to be okay. But we do need to do a better job of kind of talking about those and those regulations and giving people a direction how to play a role. If you enjoy the industry, how do you play a role in it? And you doing it on your podcast, other guys doing it, retailers doing it. I think if we all do a better job of that, we can really build some awareness.
I agree. So you gave me a couple of cigars when we got here. Tell me about these cigars. This is very nice. The retro hill on it is so smooth.
Thank you. That's 100% Corojo from Honduras, grown at the Aroa Farms. So, we support a lot of the big brands here. We support a lot of the mid-sized brands. But we also do some unique projects. In fact, probably over 10% of our sales is projects that are exclusive to us, or one-off projects or limited releases that we do in partnership with other manufacturers. And so that one was done with the Aroa family out of Honduras. We're the only store to have that blend. But it's a fantastic medium-bodied cigar. I get a lot of really nice creaminess out of it. I think it's just a great morning cigar. But I've always been a big fan of Corojo, especially the Honduran Corojo that the Aroa family is using there. And so we did a project with them that was a little bit different than some of the other blends that we had. I wanted something, I wanted to use that tobacco, but I wanted something just really smooth, a little bit buttery,
well, you
really creamy.
Nailed it.
And so I like to do that. I like to give my customers something a little bit unique, and we have some fun with it. We did we've got about 5 blends that we make here in the United States.
Yeah, Caleb was showing me the Ray Ray.
Yeah, the Ray Ray's popular. We probably sell 500 to 1,000 Ray Rays a week.
Wow.
So that's been a really popular blend. That was really intended to be a one-off thing, and it was just really sticky. The customers liked it. They asked us to bring it back, so we make that in regular production now. But really, this project kind of started by accident. So in 2015, I was involved in a factory in Nicaragua. We started a small factory, kind of by accident, but I was down there doing some blends that were going to be manufactured there, and my manufacturing partner in Nicaragua was splitting with his partner, and we decided that we would start our own factory, and so we found some tobacco that we really liked. We just didn't have enough of it to make blends for our customers. We were making cigars for about 5 small to mid-size cigar makers that were selling here in the United States. And so we found really good tobacco that we just didn't have enough of it. When you're making cigars at scale, you've got to be able to reproduce that blend consistently over and over. So we'd find a bale of 100 pounds of tobacco that we really, really liked, but we didn't have access to any more of it.
Oh, wow.
And so what we would do is we would buy that tobacco, we'd bring it back here, and we would just make, short runs with it. And so we came up with some really cool blends, but the idea was to make 5,000 of them, 10,000 of them, and then change it. And then some of those blends became really sticky. Customers fell in love with them. So about 5 of them we keep in regular production. And then I do some projects with other manufacturers where we'll just kind of do one-off. So it'll be here. We'll do 100 boxes of it. And it'll be in and out the door. And so we have a lot of fun with that. My customers look forward to it. They like, they like the exclusivity of it. But they've kind of started following, the blends that I do, and they take a liking to them. And so they're always excited about what I'm going to do next, who I'm going to do it with, and it also brings a lot of awareness to those factories.
Oh, that's great.
We're doing some work with Henderson Ventura out of the Dominican Republic right now. We just did it was a year ago now, but we did an anniversary release with those guys. and they fell in love with that cigar, and as a result, the sales of their brands have gone up significantly. So, it was kind of a way just to open the door up, introduce them to something new, show, what I had and what Henderson had, what we could do. And now, his core line brands are doing really well here.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it's, just kind of a fun way to do stuff different.
Well, I got to tell you, man, I'm loving this cigar.
Thank you.
Anytime someone hands me a cigar without a band on it, I'm a little skeptical, just because you don't know. But from the first puff on this, it's been really nice, creamy, like you said. And, used to, I was a major hardcore. I wanted it strong as possible. But over the years, palate has developed to where I enjoy all different cigars.
Right.
They just have to be good.
Yeah, there's a place for every strength level, and
Yes.
for me anyway. I noticed that a lot with customers, and I think I actually took that route as well. I think a lot of people are told when they first start smoking cigars that start mild. You're not ready for this. It requires more experience to enjoy a medium or a full-bodied cigar. Kind of stay in your lane, smoke your mild cigars. And I disagree with that in general. I think a lot of it has to do with just your palate, what you like to eat, what you like to drink.
Right. It comes into it.
Yeah, you take a guy who likes, a real full-bodied wine or drinks a real hoppy beer, and you give them an extremely mild cigar to pair with it. And maybe they just don't understand what cigars are about. Maybe they don't get the flavor. Maybe you don't pair it with the food right or with the drink right. So I don't think it's as much of it as an experience thing. It is just kind of, what your palate likes. But I see a lot of people that start mild because that's what they were told to do. And then they go to the complete opposite.
Right.
3, 4, 6 months in, they start smoking the strongest cigars that they can find. And I think they do that because they taste one for the first time and they go, oh my God, this is what cigar smoking is all about. Right now I can taste something. But they don't really understand the nuances. They don't understand the transition. Their palate hasn't quite developed yet. And then, as they learn more about cigars, as their palate develops, they start appreciating the transitions. They start appreciating the complexity. And I start seeing these people, transition back down to like medium-bodied cigars. And I always think that's interesting. So,
Well, it's funny that you say that because that's pretty much. I didn't do the milds. I started off full blown.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm cool.
Yeah.
So 6x60, full hardcore profile.
Yeah.
But now my favorite cigars are the ones that have the best and most transitions.
Exactly.
And it's like, because that's when you're like so appreciative of the blender. You know what I mean?
And I like that as well. That's what I look for, and what I consider a good cigar is a lot of transitions. I want to have 2 or 3 different experiences with that cigar over the course of an hour. And while really strong cigars have a place in my humidor,
sure.
After a big heavy meal and with a stiff drink, and I sometimes enjoy a really strong cigar. But I want to feel taste those transitions. I want to have layers of complexity, layers of flavor when I smoke a cigar, and it's really hard to get that in a real full-bodied cigar.
Absolutely.
Typically, one of the tobaccos is going to be the most dominant, and that's what you're going to taste. So I see that, and I like to see guys kind of transition back down. Ultimately, I want to sell a customer exactly what they're looking for.
Right.
I'm not going to tell anybody what to smoke, but I'm really lucky that some of my customers give me the opportunity to kind of just walk them through the process over the course of 6 months, a year, 2 years. They get to know me, I get to know them, and when they go down that road, that's normally what I see. They start mild because their uncle gave them a cigar, and their uncle said, "Smoke mild, boy, because you're not ready for this." And then they get into a shop, and somebody hands them a double Ajero LFD, and they smoke it, and they go, "Oh my God, what have I been doing the last 6 months? This is what it's all about." And while that's a great cigar, there's other stuff out there, and then they start experimenting, and they find that medium body for the most part kind of fits their palate the best. I like to start in the morning with something more on the mild to medium side. Then I pretty much smoke medium all day long. I like full flavor, but medium strength.
Right.
I smoke probably more than what I should, If I smoke a really strong cigar too early in the day, kind of ruins my experience for the rest of the day.
And that's kind of how I am. I start out with either a mild to medium and kind of work my way up through the day.
Yep.
And sometimes at the end of the day, I'll smoke something that's pretty stout. But then there's other days where I never put my hands on a stout cigar. You know what I mean? It's just the mediums. Really now where I'm at in my cigar smoking is the complexity, the transitions. And I mean, when you find one that has, more than 2 transitions, you're like, this is what I'm looking for.
Yep. And I tell people all the time, it's not an experience thing necessarily. If you really pay attention and you want to learn about tobacco, you start appreciating different things about a cigar. That's great. That's a good customer for me. But I've got guys that have been smoking cigars since before I was alive. And they come in every Friday and they pick up their box of Romeo and Julieta Reserve Royale. And that's a great customer too.
Right.
And they're not going to change. So when somebody says that it's an experience thing, I often question that. That guy's more experienced than any of us.
Right.
He's been smoking that Romeo and Julieta, for the last 40 years.
And he's not smoking anything else.
But he's just not smoking anything else. But that's just how he enjoys his cigar. We all enjoy our cigar a little bit different. I try to give my customers an opportunity to really learn about tobacco. And some of them get really excited about that. And that's the cigar journey for them is they get into, trying to figure out what they like. And they start understanding the different countries of origin, then they start understanding the different regions within those countries, and they really, they make a hobby out of it. But that's a little bit of work. I've got other customers that just want to come in and they want me to help them figure out what it is they like, and then they just want me to keep it in stock and have it for them every time they come in. Right. And that's okay too. But I really enjoy the customers that want to learn about tobacco, that want to learn about cigars, and want to really, take in some of the education that's available out there. Whether that be through cigar schools that I do here, or bringing in manufacturers and asking them, instead of just coming in and doing a buy 5 get 1, let's give the customers a little bit of value, and let's talk about what went into that blend, educate them on that cigar. I
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I have a problem with a way that we've gone as far as cigar events, because it has become the come in, buy 4, get 1 free, buy 10, get 3 free, or whatever. And it's all about the value bargain that you can get. And, that has a place, I guess. But I want the experience and the education from the event.
I'm glad you said that. I 100% agree. I've not completely done away with buy 5, get 1 free nights. I mean, I think my customers deserve, a value from time to time on a brand, and sometimes that's a good way to get it into their hands. But I always look at the accumulative effect of an event. If I get a guy out here who's got a, Connecticut A, and somebody walks up and he says, "What do you smoke?" And they said, "Oh, I normally smoke the, Rocky Patel 1999 Connecticut." And he says, "Oh, well, try mine. You're going to love it. And I got a deal on it tonight." That guy's going to take those cigars. He's going to take the free cigar. He's going to smoke them. But next week, somebody else is going to come out and say, "Oh, you smoked this last week. Well, try mine. I've got a deal on it." And I don't really see an accumulative effect for those brands after an event like that. So I always try to coach them into doing something a little bit different and come in and offer them some real value. Sit down with them, educate them on, what makes your cigar unique, what makes it special, what values do you have as a company, how long have you been in business, where does your passion come from? Let them get to know you, let them get to know the tobacco. And best case scenario, provide them some education they can take with them.
Because that's what's valuable.
I think so. I just, like you said, I got tired of the, guy behind the table saying, "Try my brand and get a deal on it."
Right.
The deal's great. We can do deals all day long. But just brand switching opportunities don't really excite me too much. I want you to offer my customers a real value for their time. And we do that in a couple different ways. I mean, one of them is education. And, I really lean on my manufacturers, and some of them do an incredible job at that. You want somebody to understand your cigar and what makes it unique, then why don't we break that cigar down, and why don't we smoke the tobaccos independently, talk about where the flavor profile comes from that cigar, talk about what makes it unique, let them understand the tobaccos that exist in that cigar, and give them something that they can take with them And I see it, the brands that do invest in that, at least in my shop. 6 months will pass, and I see that the sales continue to climb for that brand. And then, I hear somebody in the humidor talking about, where they use a second priming jalapa in this blend, and it's just really creamy. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it. And then they use an Esteli, and that's where the spice comes from. They're using a first priming Esteli tobacco, and it's you're going to get a little bit of spice through the retrohale with that. And I hear customers talking about that.
How excited are you when you hear customers talking like that?
This shit works. I mean, that's what we got to do more of. And I think an educated consumer is your best consumer, and they're probably not getting that online.
No. I mean, very, very few people. I mean, you got to be really dedicated to educating yourself to get that.
Yeah. And so I lean on my manufacturers to do more of that than just the buy 5 get 1. And as a retailer, I think if you're going to ask a guy to give up a night, we do a lot of events on Friday nights. Our big events typically are on Friday nights. We're going to ask somebody to tell their wife that they're not going to be at dinner on Friday night, or tell the boys at work that they're not going to happy hour with them after work because they're going to a cigar event. You got to give them something more than a free cigar.
Right.
I mean, you got to give them an experience. And so we've tried to do that. We try to make our events very experience driven. And sometimes it's by way of education. Sometimes it's just, bringing in somebody that can, pair a cocktail with it and do something a little bit unique that way.
Now, you do that too?
We do that as well. And sometimes,
I think that's great.
And sometimes we just throw a hell of a party, but we do more than just put a guy behind a table. Kind of going back to growing this industry, where we kind of started this conversation. I think we need to do a better job of getting guys excited about coming into a lounge, and give you a reason. If you come in and you give up your Friday night to come spend an afternoon with us, and you just have the time of your life, you learn something, you end up getting a good deal on cigars, you made some friends, and maybe you learned something about a tequila that we paired with it. But you leave here feeling satisfied. You feel like you got your money's worth. You feel like you got your time. It was time well spent. You're going to tell your friends, and next time that they want to go grab a beer after work, you're going to say, no. We've got an event over at Renegade, or we've got an event at whatever your home shop is, and you're going to drag them out to it. And so I think we need to think more about that. Again, growing the industry instead of just trying to, instead of me trying to steal a customer from a competitor, and my manufacturer trying to switch somebody from one, A brand to B brand. I think we need to think about how to give them better experiences all the way around.
I think that's great. Now, I do have to ask you, because I've never done this. I've never paired a cigar with tequila.
So I don't get too carried away with the pairings.
Okay.
I do think some cigars pair better with certain liquors.
When I think of pairing, I never think of tequila. That's why I bring that up.
I like a really nice añejo. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's just education about tequila. Sometimes it's education about rums. And we've got to do different things to stimulate different people. And so we're always changing it up. It's not always alcohol related. Sometimes we invite in a watchmaker and have them talk about a new watch that they're going to release, and what understanding timepieces. What's the difference? What's the difference in different types of movements? So we try to provide just different learning opportunities. But, that was what we did do a tequila. And on the tequila, a lot of people thought of tequila like Patron being the best tequila. And Patron's a fantastic tequila. But Patron Silver is a tequila that I would maybe take a shot of, with my buddy for his birthday.
Right.
But it's not what I'm going to sit around and sip on with my cigar. But there's some really good añejos out there. And so we kind of open their eyes up to different types of tequila. And I've got guys now who are drinking, the Don Julio 1942 with their cigars, and they love it. But, it drinks more like a scotch than it does a tequila.
Right.
It's got some sweetness. It's very rich. And it does pair very well with a cigar. But those are the type of experience that I like to share with my customers. Tequila is not everybody's thing, but I've got 5 or 6 guys now that really like a nice añejo with their cigar. And that's something they probably would have never thought about if we didn't provide that opportunity for them.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys, because I'm like, tequila, wow. But I'm with you. The only time I ever think about tequila is maybe, a bachelor party or birthday or something where I'm going to just do a shot. I've really never had a tequila that I would consider sipping. You know what I mean? It's just not my flavor profile, but I'm not educated on tequila.
Right. And so, you know, on an event like that, we would have exposed you to something that you probably wouldn't have got elsewhere.
Right.
And that's the whole goal, you know, be able to provide customers with unique experiences. And we talk about, you know, we try to push ourselves to come up with unique concepts, and some of them don't work. You know, sometimes I think something's going to be a home run, and it doesn't work. But you don't know unless you try. And putting a guy behind a table running a special has been done before, so we've got to try some unique stuff.
For me, I'm tired of that.
Yep.
Maybe I am wrong for saying this, but if I just want a deal, I could go online.
Exactly.
If I want an experience, I come to the brick and mortar. Yeah. And I think by giving a special experience, that's how you grow the community.
Yep, I agree. And I want my guys to go back to work on Monday and know something that they didn't know before. And I'm not always the teacher. I mean, I bring in people that know more about, you know, some of these items than what I do. I'm not giving a presentation on watches and what makes certain watches special. But I want guys to go back and understand what makes a timepiece and a watch. I want guys to go back and, know a little bit more about when to wear what color shoes and what color belt with what suit. You know, when I bring in a suit maker or something, and we do stuff like that. You know, I want to bring the as many experiences as I can into the store.
I think that's great, man. That is fantastic. And I should definitely come in for the matching the clothes episode.
I mean, you know, it's funny. You know, those things are really sticky, and it's not something that you beat to death, but it's something you do one time a year, and you just give guys an opportunity to learn something that they wouldn't get elsewhere. We talked about there's not a lot of places for guys to hang out and get this information.
No, and you think about it, I mean, there's like not a teacher that's teaching you these things on a regular basis. So you're providing an opportunity to actually educate consumers. And I think hats off, man. That's great.
Yeah, just dip their toe into it, right? And some of them, you know, they get really into watches. Some of them get really into tequila. Some of them get really into pairing. Some of them get really into wine. But we just try to touch as many things as we can. And some of them end up being sticky, and some of them end up being a bust. But I think that you know, we just got to keep pushing ourselves to find a way to make this a unique experience for customers.
So how do you communicate with your customers? Is it word of mouth here at the shop, or do you actually send out emails? You have your Facebook or Instagram. How do you communicate with your consumers?
You know, I do it all, everything that you mentioned, and then probably a few other things that I kind of consider a little bit proprietary.
All right.
But email is great. We don't do as good of a job of capturing email as what we probably should. I kind of went away from email and went a different direction. Email is good for longer form content than some of the other stuff I do. So,
well, I asked because I'd like to get on your email list. You're going to have an event. I'd like to come up.
We'll absolutely get you on our email list. We've got kind of a text group that we do where we send out messages in shorter form, letting people know about what's going on. Facebook, Instagram, and then word of mouth. But, you know, we normally post it here at the lounge. But we try to touch people any way that we can. We try to capture that information in a way that where we don't bombard people.
Sure.
But in a way that we can get in touch with you with the least amount of friction. You know, we don't want you to have to go out of your way to know what's going on.
Right. You're not calling people up on the phone when they're busy.
No, not at all. But we do a pretty good job at that. But
that's great. And, you know, I send out an email just once a week. Just let people know what's coming up on this week's show.
Yeah.
If we have any special things going on. I'm kind of like you. I don't want to bombard because, man, my email is just overflowing every day. And so you don't want to bombard people with stuff like that, but you definitely want to be able to notify them of special events, different things you have going on, new cigars that you're carrying in the humidor. So I think that's important. So if people want to follow you on Instagram or Facebook, what's the best way for them to find you?
So to follow me personally, I'm at Brandon Hayes on Instagram, so that's pretty easy. And then the lounge is Renegade_cigars. And then we on Facebook, we're Renegade Cigars on our business page. but actually we have a group that's probably more active. It's Renegade Cigar Lounge, and we found that there's a lot more communication going on, a lot more interaction with customers, with one another, and through our Facebook group. So we're more active on our group, which is Renegade Cigar Lounge. Pretty easy to find us, but you'll see several posts a day there, mostly from customers. I try. I'll put out a story, or I'll put out a post once a day, but I'm not always promoting events and upcoming things through those channels. I give some of our customers, especially in our group, an opportunity to show guys what they're smoking. I wouldn't say they do full-on reviews, but they recommend cigars. They ask for recommendations on where to take somebody for barbecue, or where to go for a drink after work. It's a fairly active community, and I like it that way.
Isn't that great, having a community that they don't need you, they take care of business for you?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's a great community that you've built organically.
We've seen that with just cigars that become popular in the store. It's because somebody went on Facebook and got into our group and said, if you hadn't tried this, you're missing out. And somebody that trusts their opinion goes out and picks it up, and then they second it on in the group, and next thing we've sold through all of our inventory and reordering it. So I do like to get the customers involved.
What do you have planned for like the next 2 months? Do you have anything, events coming up over the next couple of months?
So I do. I've got some stuff I'm really excited about. The rest of the year is going to be a lot of fun for us. We've got Rocky Battelle coming mid-December. We just solidified that yesterday.
Nice.
I have a Davidoff event on the 15th of this month. And
is that on Friday?
It's actually a Thursday, and I need to check that date. But mid-month, I think it's the 15th. It's a Thursday night event.
Okay.
Excuse me. We're going to raffle off a $2,000 Toomey set of luggage. So that's fun. And then we've got some kind of opening up the vault a little bit. I've got some cigars that we have tucked away, limited releases from Davidoff.
Oh, nice.
And it's a good opportunity to learn a little bit about Davidoff as a brand. We're a Davidoff white label account. One of the best decisions I ever made was to become a Davidoff account. They've been fantastic partners with us, but they do really good events, and there's a lot of people that still are not familiar with the brand. And an event, Davidoff event's a good way to come out and find one of the cigars. I still get people. We've had Davidoff for probably 2 years now, and some people that say, I'd love to try Davidoff. I'd love to come out to your event. I just don't smoke really mild cigars. I like medium body. I like full bodied cigars. And Davidoff's got a little bit of everything. People still think of them as being a mild cigar brand, but some of the releases they've had over the last 5, 6, 7 years have really been in that medium to full body range. So they've got something for everybody. It's just a good opportunity to come and learn the brand, learn what makes them special, and try one.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think if it's at all possible, I'll try to come to that event, because I'm not familiar with Davidoff hardly at all, just because West Texas, you don't find them.
Right.
And so, I see that brand everywhere. I know it's a very well-known brand, but it's just not something that I'm exposed to in West Texas.
Yep.
But I'm really interested, so I'll definitely try to put that on my calendar.
Yeah, it'll be a good opportunity to come and just understand the line, and there's definitely something in that line that you would like and appreciate. They really have something for everybody now.
That's nice.
Not just a mild cigar company.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No, I appreciate you having me on. Enjoyed the time, and I just hope guys tune in, and I hope they listen to you and they sign up, and and they help protect our rights as cigar smokers.
Absolutely. And I got to tell anyone that's in the DFW area, you got to come by Renegade. Man, this is a first-rate, first-class lounge, and I appreciate you having us. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and we look forward to seeing what you do. And I definitely want to sign up for the email so I can start coming to some events. Man, what you're doing event-wise is something that I see the next generation of events. I mean, to me, the events were amazing in the 80s, and I didn't smoke in the 80s. I was actually in high school, but I talked to a lot of the old guys who were going to events in the 80s, and that's not how we're doing events now.
Right.
And you're kind of bringing that back, plus you're adding some nuances that are more exciting than even what they were doing then. So, man, sign me up. I'm definitely going to come check them out.
Awesome.
Hey, man, thanks a lot, and you have a great day, and I appreciate the cigar, brother.
Thank you.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the interview with Brandon. Man, what a great shop, and they're real fortunate to have an owner over there that has the vision that he has. I enjoyed myself at that lounge, and I can't wait to go back. That's how good it was.
Yes, sir. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you got to. So anyway, it's that time of the show where we announce this week's lucky Luxury Cigar Club winner.
Yes.
And we are going, let's see, we'll hit the button here and let's see who they select. It is going to be Hector Hernandez. Hector will send you an email with the code, and you will receive a free Luxury Cigar Club box at the platinum level.
Yes, sir.
And you know what was funny is whenever I got my box this week, I got it yesterday. When did you get yours?
I got mine, what's the day?
Oh.
Tuesday. I got it Monday, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I was going to post a picture, and I was going to add Christmas music because that's what it feels like.
Yes, it did.
And I can't wait. Have you smoked any of yours yet?
None.
Either have I. And I thought the most interesting cigar was that Lancero Plasencia.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know when I'm going to smoke that one because that one looks good. And then the other one was the...
Cornelius and Anthony, the Gent.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I looked at that. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I've heard about this, man.
Very good.
I'm going to try
looking
this
smoke.
one. Yes. I want to. That's going to be the first smoke I do.
Are you?
Yes, that Cornelius and Anthony.
I don't know. I may smoke one of them tonight.
Okay.
When we get done.
Okay.
I don't know which one yet. And that's what I love about the whole Luxury Cigar Club is that you never know what you're going to get. And you know what? None of those cigars are available at my shop.
No, they're not.
And so that's what I love about the monthly subscription with these guys is that you always get great cigars.
Yes, and a surprise in every box.
Yeah, it's
man,
awesome.
when I got home and I looked in the mailbox and I saw that plastic, I said, oh, yes.
Yeah, and did you
I couldn't wait to open it, man.
Did you see they did a new box?
Yes.
I love the new box, but did you see what it says when you open up that flat?
What is it? You can smoke?
No, it says you may smoke
You
now.
may smoke now, yeah.
I love that.
I was like, yes.
So anyway, before we wrap up, we want to give a shout out to the McAuliffe Cigars again.
Most definitely.
They're our sponsor, and we're so happy to have them. You know, the thing about them is they have a cigar for everyone. I mean, and I'm not just talking about your palate.
No.
I mean, they've got so many different cigars for anyone's palate.
Yes.
I love, you know, the Connecticut. I love the Sumatra.
The Medallia.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're all over the place, so they have a cigar for everyone, but also budget-wise.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
You know, the cigar that we talked about last week or the week before, I think what came in at like $4.20. Dude, anyone can afford a quality
$4
cigar.
stick.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
And then you're getting something that is going to address your palate. It's going to surprise you. And then when you look at the price point, you're like, man, what was I doing before this?
I thought it was a misprint.
Yeah.
When I saw it was $4.20, I was like, is that supposed to be $14.20?
I didn't say anything. I just paid for it.
Yeah, you thought you were getting away with something. So anyway, hey, next week we've got Storm Bowen from Cigars for Warriors joining us. Great interview with that guy, man. And they're an amazing organization. And I know everybody knows what they do.
Yes.
But are you aware that none of those guys take a salary?
Not a 1 cent. Not a 1
That's an
cent.
amazing
Yes.
organization.
That's about providing.
Yeah.
You know, reaching out for others, thinking about others above yourself. And then, like I said, when we talked to with Blanco, and he said when he was overseas, just getting a stick from home was just like, oh man, you know, it was that nostalgia, and it just made him feel good that somebody appreciates him. Just one stick made you feel appreciated,
and you get to have some downtime.
Yes,
you know what I mean, and get some stuff off your mind. And so,
especially in those theaters of operation, man. I was military, and I understand that mindset. Just the ability to just sit back and just what's in front of you, just take away. And enjoy a good stick and just think about something other than what's going on in front of you. It's a blessing. It's
absolutely,
a true blessing.
Man.
I applaud those guys, man.
Especially after we saw the fiasco with Wounded Warriors.
Yes.
You know, those guys were taking 90% of the money. And to see an organization that really gives back to the troops.
That hurt me. That really hurt me, man.
Oh, yeah, man.
Really
because it's a fraud.
Yeah, it hurt.
And, you know, people want to support the troops.
Yeah.
And, you know, with Cigars for Warriors, whatever you donate is going to the men and women in service. Yes. And so we really appreciate that. Yeah. So anyway, guys, that about wraps it up for this week's show. Until next week.
Keep smoking.